Start a new hangout.
Ah, okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's first session of Against the Shadow, new campaign taking place in Middle-earth. I'll get from players to just say a quick hello and say who they're playing. So we'll start on my left with Caius, please.
Hi, I'm Caius, and I'm playing Beregond of Minas Ithil, a man of Minas Tirith. I think my overlay's gone down, and I'm just going to try and I'll sign out and sign back in again in a second.
Excellent.
To work out.
Yeah,
So,
we'll piece it together somehow.
Yeah, on to the next.
Dan.
Hi, I'm playing Cyneric the Mourner, son of a fallen house, son of Aquellen, the now deceased. He's on a quest for vengeance against the shadow, against the darkness, and Denethor has given him an opportunity, so he has travelled some distance to be here. I'm playing a Rohan Wanderer. We're here.
And Mr. Kalera.
Hello, my name is Rob. You can find me on the channel Performance Check, and today I am playing Faroth, son of Fardred, Dunedain Wanderer and Ranger of the North. He is dogged at every angle by the ever-growing shadow, and he is going to attempt to see if he can outrun it once and for all.
And Jay?
Hello, my name is Jay, aka the Rogue DM, and I'm playing Syrian, son of Eridan, who is quite a local bloke, aka a scholar of Minas Tirith. But his father had quite a mysterious past that was never rectified and called to light. So essentially, Syrian is looking for answers, and he is willing to start anywhere for them.
All right, and finally, Dennis.
I'm Dennis, and I'll be playing Nar Ironfist, a dwarf of the Iron Hills.
Half grape, half apple.
Basically, he's, as with many of his people, he's a miner and a smith. After traveling to the Lonely Mountain with others of his kind, he began to be plagued by visions of his death, which has caused him to exile himself. So, taking his tools and making his own armor and weapons, he began traveling the world, attempting to make a difference before he met his demise.
Excellent. So these are the heroes of our story. Now, you've all, through some manner, approached the White City, the City of Kings, Minas Tirith. Now, some of you live here. Some of you have approached from far away because you've all been called by Denethor II, son of Ecthelion, who is a steward of Gondor. You've been called here for a mysterious purpose. You're not clear why he has called you, but you don't ignore summons from the steward of Gondor. And so you have traveled, some of you incredibly far, throughout Middle-earth to get here and see what the summons is about. So you all would have approached, looking up at this huge white city. The spires of it rise hundreds of feet up above the Pelennor fields. And you can see farms spread far and wide out here in front of it, with pleasant but hardworking farmers, men and women all over, who will kind of look up briefly when they see you passing and then go back to their work. So, what would your thoughts be upon seeing it? I guess some of you would have seen it would be seeing it for the first time.
I think Faroth would have only seen Minas Tirith once before, and he feels the same as he did when he saw it the last time, that though many have told him through songs and legend and just from hearsay that Minas Tirith is perhaps their rightful heirloom and perhaps their home, the men of the North, Faroth doesn't see it that way. This is a strange land to him.
Yeah, and you can see that it's a land of plenty compared to the kind of hard north where you come from. Like here, the Pelennor fields covered all around with farms and lush sort of greenery and flowing rivers. But I guess you would see, all of you as you approach, a simple look to the east would show you the darkening clouds above the Shadow Mountains and Mordor beyond. So yeah, you would all kind of work your way into the city itself, where you would be greeted by stern-faced guards who would ask you your business, and I'm sure you would tell them pretty swiftly that you're here to see the steward, and then they would urge you to make your way up. And up is how it goes. Minas Tirith is a beautiful city, but it is a steep city. Staircases line it all over, everywhere you look. It's a city of beautiful white buildings and artistic squares and parks, works of art kind of carved into every edifice that you go. It's a marvel, testament to the strength of man, but it is exhausting as a city, especially if you want to get to the Hall of Kings at the very top where Denethor is. So you continue through the city from the lowest levels with always an incline, moving up and up. An hour goes by and you come to a small garden. And this is where you would meet each other for the first time. This is where there's a gate, a very old-looking, extremely ornate gate. You can see two men carved into the edifice of each side of the gate, and stern-faced men with slightly fancier helmets standing before it. And you can see that there are, when you arrive, who would be last to arrive, do you think?
Can be me, if no one else wants to take it.
Cyneric riding his horse through the city. Sorry, Ciaro?
Ciaro is his horse.
Ciaro. Yeah, you would arrive last, and you would see that there are four others standing, looking none too pleased before these two guards. There's a beautiful little garden, and looking now, you can see that you're already hundreds of feet up from the Pelennor Fields, and you can look across at Ethel Dwath, which are the mountains of shadow that protect Mordor, like a shield. And you can see even from here ruins of Pharos Goliath. Yeah, these men are standing here, none too pleased at your requests. Do you have any documentation to say you are here to see Denethor?
They're addressing me now.
Any one of you?
Of course. I take out my papers.
Takes him, has a look. What do you make of this? He hands it to the other guy, and he takes them, and he has a look. He looks at the papers, and he looks at you. Yes, all right. He rolls it back up and hands it to you. Don't make a mess, he says, and then he opens the gates, and you're sent through to the upper city, and it's a totally different place. It becomes less and less populous as you go, but still there were people walking around and kids shouting and running around and people hawking wares. Once you get into this upper city, it's mostly silent. You can see huge manor houses. The streets are perfectly clean, and it's almost freakishly quiet.
Syrian is somewhat used to this because he has visited the upper levels several times in his life, but they've all been rare occasions. So it comes back to him, but it's definitely something that is very contrasting to his quite chaotic way of life in the libraries below.
Yeah, it is a little bit jarring, I think, to most of you. People who would live in towns or cities, you would expect there to be noise, but it's almost like once you step through that gate, silence reigns. And you continue walking upwards for the best part of another half an hour until finally you come to the huge white doors of the Hall of Kings. And you can see carved into this door is Elendil, the great hero of the North. Elendil the Tall, Elendil the Great, beloved by all, and all he gave love to. And here the guards have even fancier helmets.
I think as Faroth walks past the statue of Elendil, he looks upon him. And while many loved Elendil, and many still do, there is no love for Elendil in Faroth's heart.
Yeah, he would be known throughout the world as the greatest hero of men, or one of the greatest, certainly, but maybe not to all men.
Senator leans forward and just calms CRO for a second, like brushing her mane, just whispering for her to keep quiet as he just glares at the two statues and all of this finery, knowing where he grew up and how he lives his life. This is ridiculous luxury, and he thinks they are soft for it.
Yeah, you can even the guards. The helmets at this stage are so dramatic that they must be decorative. They couldn't be useful in a fight. And their plate mail so heavily decorated with symbols of leaves and trees. You have to think, is it even effective? But they do cut an intimidating figure.
How many? You said there was a couple of guards?
There's two, yeah.
So yeah, as he passes, Nar kind of looks them over and says, "Well, aren't you a pair of pretty lasses?"
They can hear you to just look straight ahead, as if you hadn't spoken.
And walking up behind the tall Dunedain, Dildo. Did you say?
Oh, you could hit that guy. Yes.
Stepping up behind. Can you hear me now?
Yes. A little bit better.
Stepping up behind the tall Dunedain is a somewhat small Gondorian, someone from not built like one of the captains of Gondor, but a slight man, wearing the leather underjerkin of the Knights of Minas Tirith, but nothing else of their armor. And he stares up too at the statue of Isildur, and not seeing the expression on the Northerner's face, he says, "So that was a hand that destroyed the Dark Lord all that time ago."
Was it Isildur or was it Elendil that we saw? Sorry, Lloyd.
It's
Elendil.
Yeah.
Elendil.
Okay, sorry, I'm just checking.
All good.
Sorry.
No worries. There are, so on the door there would be a huge marking of Elendil, as he was the first king of Gondor and the North, and Arnor basically, when it was all one kingdom, in days of old, in days of glory. You stand out here impatiently, I guess, for quite some time until eventually a door within the door opens, a smaller door, and a man pops his head out. You're here for the summons?
Yes, that's right.
Yes. And he kind of looks at you. You know, you're coming into the presence of the steward. Have you nothing nicer to wear?
I'll have you know that I'm a local man. I buy from very good local merchants. Some of my best robes.
I suppose, you look appropriate, but some of these Northerners, I mean, and he just kind of mumbles to himself. Anyway, it's no matter. Please follow me. And he leads you through this tiny little door within the big door.
This is where I have to part ways with CRO. Is there things to tie her up on?
Yeah, you could tie her to maybe the ankle of Elendil, if you were inclined.
He gives the guards just a sly glance, see if they make any movement, and then just whips the reins round and ties her up, and says one or two words quietly to her, and then goes through the door, feeling slightly more uncomfortable than he did before.
One of the guards almost imperceptibly raises an eyebrow just a little bit, but he doesn't say anything. And you guys are led then into the Hall of Kings itself. It's a huge, cavernous room, ceiling so far above you, every footstep echoes. And you can hear many voices in here. You can hear music. And as you see, there's people all over the place. there seems to be many soldiers kind of looking at maps, poring over maps at different parts of the room. There's also kind of off to the right a small stage where a man is playing on a violin, a sort of mournful tune. And at the center of the room, there is a large table with a mock-up of a building, like a tiny miniature of a building. And these two older men are speaking excitedly to the steward. The steward himself, he is tall, he's broad, he looks like a man of Gondor. He's got kind of greying hair, salt and pepper beard, and wears incredibly fine robes. Behind him stands a man in full plated mail, this one much more utilitarian, far less decorative, just stands silently watching. And as soon as the steward decides to move, this man is his shadow. So you're brought into this room, and the little man who brought you here said, the steward will be with you soon. We can't have you waiting outside. I'll send some refreshments. And then he walks off and leaves you there.
Thank you very much.
Cynric shifts sort of his hand on the head of his axe, and he just looks around, possibly the largest room he's ever seen. Just trying to take it all in, any decoration. His eyes linger for a moment on the musician.
Yeah, there would be
sorry.
tapestries. There were tapestries everywhere, beautiful, huge. I mean, 20, 30 feet high tapestries that hang from the ceiling and don't even nearly touch the ground. And statues of heroes of Gondor everywhere you look. You will notice that there is a huge throne, and next to it on the left-hand side, a small chair. It's still a fancy chair, but it's nothing compared to the enormity of the throne that stands behind it. The man is playing like I say, a sort of mournful tune. But people seem to be enjoying it. There's several people kind of standing, watching appreciatively, almost bopping their heads.
Faroth is standing, his feet rooted firmly to the marbled floor beneath them, standing as still as those statues that decorate the heroes of Gondor and from long ago. And his eyes are just fixed, staring past that steward's chair, up those marbled steps and to that throne. And he looks upon it with distaste.
Beragond is looking over the various statues and tapestries in the room and just making notes and just speaking softly to himself, the names of the various heroes of Gondor of old, the histories, and just nodding, recognizing one after another, and getting more and more intimidated in the presence of all this history that he has so far in his life failed to live up to.
Minutes go by, stretch into 10 minutes, and then 20, and then 30. You just stand there. Eventually a man comes over with some cups of water. Here you are. Enjoy.
Long walk, was it?
The kitchen is down some steps, sir.
He takes the bowl, roughly, or the mug, and quenches his thirst in one go.
Very good. I'm sure the steward will see you soon. And then he shuffles off again. Another 10 minutes go by, and another 10, and you've been waiting nearly an hour. And eventually, the two architects, they nod excitedly, and Denethor puts his hand on the shoulder of one of them, and they pick up their model and begin to leave. And he claps his hands, and all of the soldiers and the violin player, everybody except for his shadow, begins to filter out of the room through different exits. And taking his time, brushing some dirt off his shoulder, he goes to sit in his chair. He leans back, and then he says, "Approach."
Okay, I immediately do so, and I kneel.
And kneeling beside Syrian is Beragond.
Farrell.
I
Oh,
just
sorry, go ahead.
take a quick look at, I was just going to say, I take a quick look at Baragon and just give a little nod while Denethor isn't looking.
Farrell thinks to himself that he's travelled since the seasons have changed for a few times to get to this place. So a few more steps are likely not going to do him any harm. And almost reluctantly sort of takes his place towards the back of this lineup before the Steward of Gondor.
And do you kneel?
No.
Ceneric was watching to see if the ranger knelt. He did not, so Ceneric will walk shoulder to shoulder up to where he stands, hands still resting like on his axe and on his belt, and he just gives him a nod. And then gives the Denethor a nod.
Nar moves up, also standing not kneeling, and he'll kind of grin beneath his helm as he turns his head up, looking at the other two, and then turns back forward.
A lot of pride in the room, he says. Interesting. He turns to look at the man behind him, and he just gives him a look, and the man kind of smiles. Well, I suppose you've travelled far. I thought you might want a seat. Nonetheless, I've called you here for a critical task. You've been out in the world, and surely you can tell that a shadow is growing over Middle-earth. Attacks on Osgiliath have become more frequent, and we have been forced to cede the eastern side of the city. My rangers report increased movements in Ithilien. I want you to make the journey across the Anduin and into Ithilien. I want you to go into the lands of Mordor itself and discover what is happening there. Minas Morgul, the Black Gate, even Barad-dûr itself. Something is stirring there, and we must be prepared. Gondor has long stood as the shield that guards the realms of men, and if we are to continue to protect this Middle-earth, we must know what we are facing.
Are the Rangers of Gondor so thinly spread that they cannot accomplish this task on their own, Steward?
He leans back in his chair and takes a second. Rangers of Gondor perform a vital task. They keep the orcs from crossing the Anduin. Ithilien is a large place. You would know that, Ranger. And not all are skilled enough in the ways of nature to become rangers. And we must keep a standing army here. Many of our warriors must remain here in case an attack is made. I have selected you, specifically, all of you, for your skills. I want you to go and investigate.
Stuart, I've never ventured out of this city, and I'm certainly not one who is used to much physical combat and travel. Why have you chosen me?
Your knowledge surpasses that of almost every man in this city. Your knowledge is absolutely essential if we are to understand what is happening in Mordor. These men and this Master Dwarf here, brave combatants all. But telling me what they see and understanding what they see is a different story.
I know the way. I've travelled there before. I can get you there. Scribe?
Scholar.
This is no scribe. This is Syrian, son of Eredin, one of the wisest men in the city.
I do not know where all this praise is coming from, but I thank you for it nonetheless.
Your reputation has gone before you, Syrian.
Oh yes, you are from Minas Ithil, are you not?
I'm son of Beren of Minas Ithil, and from a long line of Minas Ithil, and my ancestors were the marshals before Ithilien fell to the dark forces of Minas Morgul. there are dark things moving in that land. But there are paths known to only those whose ancestors grew up in the gardens that were once there. And maybe I can lead. Maybe if we get close to Minas Morgul, I can lead you on some secret paths past the enemy.
Indeed, Baragon, that is why I have selected you for this task. You know the land. Hopefully you can find a way there safely. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to do what you're about to do. You know these roads better than I, but I would suggest you make your way to Henneth Annan, where the Rangers have their base. There, you can speak with Thorandi, the captain of my Rangers. He might be able to give you more information once you cross the Anduin. Now, you know that there are two places that you can cross the river if you are so inclined: Osgiliath itself and Caer Andros, the old fortress and the island.
Are your old bones up to this journey? I say, looking at the dwarf.
I guess we shall see.
I thank you for coming, Master Dwarf. It is always a pleasure to know that the old alliances still stand.
And Baragon looks for a second at your dwarven wrought armor, and his eyes move over the fine, ancient workmanship and light up, and he says, I've often heard of the workmanship of dwarves, that they rank as high as the men of Numenor and the men of old. Truly, it is a wonder. I can now understand the greed of Smaug. And he laughs a little awkwardly.
And
his eyes keep wandering to your armor.
Well said, though I believe you misspoke when you said as good.
Cyneric cracks a slight smile. I think it'll be interesting to see you fight, dwarf. Don't get many of you around my lands.
Denethor leans forward and says, if you have no questions for me, then you can do this banter somewhere else.
I know the way, Denethor. Though I do not kneel to anyone but a horse lord, I will do your bidding. I will take your men where they need to go.
My lord, you are wise, and you have many agents. Have you any inkling of what this enemy is that is rising in Mordor? Is it some ancient agent of the enemies of old?
We do not know. Although some of my rangers have reported the ringing of hammers from Mordor, old forges reactivated. It's possible that something, whether it be, and he almost says it, but he doesn't, someone has decided to use these old facilities to try and wage war against us. I can only assume some orc warlord.
Cyneric at this shifts uncomfortably and almost absent-mindedly rubs at his covered neck. Then clears his throat when he realizes what he's doing.
Faroth, there's a twinge of anger at the complacency of a comment like some orc warlord. Faroth has seen the darkness. He has seen it in the lands of Angmar. And to merely recall it in his mind brings pain to his heart. And he looks to the Steward of Gondor right in the eyes and he says, my Lord Steward, the Rangers of the North will see your task is done as we still honor the alliances. We still honor our allegiance to you. But know this, complacency could indeed spell doom for us all. We shall take this task to heart indeed.
Complacency. I have called you all here because I am concerned that I'd be accused of complacency.
You
older
speak of things you do not know, Ranger. The men of Gondor have long stood as a shield against the evil that is coming out of Mordor. We have fought fights whilst the men of the West have lived a more peaceful life.
There are older and fouler things than orcs in the dark places of this world.
I'd be inclined to agree.
Well, I'm glad that I have selected you then. You seem to have much knowledge about this. I'm sure you'll be able to deal with whatever challenges you face.
It shall be done. And Faroth just bows his head, puts his hood up, and looks to the others.
Baragon, son of Beren, shall not fail you, sir. I salute him.
He points at the ranger and says, I have not dismissed you. Take down your hood.
Faroth freezes halfway up with the hood and just lets it fall down, and he puts his hands on his belt, his thumb sort of resting upon his hilt, but he does nothing else.
He just lets the moment hang for a second. He just like sits there looking at you. He says, Baragon, I thank you for your service. You are dismissed. And he waves a hand.
Baragon again gives a curt bow, turns and walks back to the door. And as he opens the door, he sees out there across in the distance the shadow of Minas Morgul there as a sort of dark looming thing in next to the mountains in the far distance. And he takes a gulp from the silver cup that the servant brought him earlier and realizes he's still got the silver cup in his hand. And with some reluctance, he hands it over or puts it down on a table next to the exit and walks out and waits for the others.
Cendric nods to Denethor and gives him a relevant salute, something like the Pax Romana or something. Spins on his heel and leaves, cloak like billowing as he comes back out into the sunlight. And he starts tending to Ciaro.
Yeah, you guys, when you walk outside, you can see pretty much straight into Mordor. You can see across the valley here to the other side where the mountains begin, the huge thick forests of Ithilien, and even Osgiliath itself, enormous sprawling city across the river.
So does our road take us to Osgiliath or beyond to the fort? I think we should conference now before we go any further.
We have two roads available to us. Osgiliath or traversing the Isles.
Well, Osgiliath seems like the obvious choice just because it's so much closer. There could very easily be foul things lurking in there. It's been rather turbulent there lately.
So I hear. Lloyd, as I have Ithilien as one of my known lands, is there any way that I could make a check, the first check, to see if there's anything I can pertain in terms of what might be the best route to take?
Yes, you could make me a survival check if you so wish.
Oh, yes, I certainly can do that. Okay, so let's
Considering I have
roll.
the
Let's make it a
same-
good one.
Can
Sorry,
I give him
Dan?
advantage or something, considering I have the same?
Yeah, I think you could put your heads together, and also with the scholar with you. I think between the three of you, you have plenty of knowledge about the area, so you can have advantage on the roll.
Thank you. Okay, here goes. That is, I swear to God, that is a natural 20 right there.
Excellent. Yeah, so between the three of you, you're able to discuss, I would say for many minutes, if not longer, you might go get a drink in a bar somewhere in Minas Tirith and discuss your plans, maps, poring over them, looking at them, trying to decide what the best route is. Now, it's significantly shorter, as your scholar had said, significantly shorter to get to Osgiliath. It's maybe 20 or so miles from Minas Tirith to Osgiliath. But as Denethor had said, the eastern side has been ceded to whatever orcs are there. He didn't give you much information about Karandros, but that is quite a bit further to the north. There's an island in the center of the Anduin, and you'll be able to cross there perhaps. There was once a fortress, but it's similarly fallen into disrepair.
One of my features is Lore of the Lost. While I haven't found that which I seek, the Loom of Anduin, I've come across much lost lore concerning other issues, tidbits of lore about ruins, and most importantly, treasures, buried treasures and things like that. Which of the two places do I think has the most promise of coming across a lost treasure of Gondor?
I think you'd probably think it was Osgiliath. That was once the capital of Gondor, the capital of the Kingdom of Men.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I mean, since it had fallen, the eastern side has been mostly under the sway of orcs and not of men. So there's a good chance you might find something there. Karandros was really a military installment, less of a jewel, so to speak. So there'd probably be much more utilitarian there.
I turn to Syrian. You said you did not have much stomach for a fight, yet you pick Osgiliath over the wider route.
Well, my father went there several decades ago. Never returned. I simply wanted to pay him my condolences.
I appreciate the situation you're in. Sometimes, a son must tread the steps of his father.
And objectively, to me, it is the most practical route. And he actually gets his own map. And he sort of makes a comment that with Karandros, the terrain is more tricky, and then we'd have to head further south for a long time before even reaching Minas Morgul. Osgiliath has a much more direct route. It'll be much quicker.
As you explain that, you depending on how observant you are, may have already seen that before you even pulled out the map, Senoric had consigned to not fight for Karandros anymore. He believes something struck a chord with him with your story of loss.
And oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, Syrian does twig that after a couple of seconds of rambling. He is quite observant, so yes, he would have noticed that, but he won't comment on it.
I lean in. Sorry, go on.
No. I was just going to say the idea for Varoth, at least, of going to Osgiliath, for no better word, a shadow falls across his heart because he has heard of the violently contested area around and in the city of Osgiliath, and he knows that while he can hide particularly well, when there are that many eyes searching, it can be incredibly difficult, and Osgiliath is full of eyes.
It is full of eyes, but have you not heard of the banner of Pelendur? There, in the houses of healing, long since fallen to ruin. They say the banner of Pelendur lies there, hidden in a chest when they had to evacuate the houses. If we can make our way in there under the eyes of the enemy, we have a chance of recovering it and stealing it away from the orcs and using it in the fight against darkness. What say you?
The banner of Pelendur lies in dust for a reason. It should remain there. It is not our priority.
Master
You
Dwarf. Sorry, do you want to go, Caius?
No, go.
Master Dwarf, you may make this choice much simpler for our companions. Do you wish to get your feet wet?
Not today, not tomorrow, not the day after.
Then perhaps it is decided. Unless you wish to fight a dwarf for it. For the choice.
A small chuckle will be heard from beneath his helm.
At that point, he like flicks up and mounts up onto Ciaro. Presuming we were kind of outside. If not, he would probably not do that. But we should make if we rode for Osgiliath, it shouldn't take that long.
No. 20 miles at most. And if we all have horses.
Beragon, you speak of a banner. Why is it you wish to recover such a thing?
A banner rallies the hearts of men. It will be a great standard to rally the opposition to the growing threat of the orcs and the evil that is breeding in Mordor. Every treasure we recover from them, what do the orcs care for these things? They tear them to pieces. The beauty that was once produced in this workshop of the world is now trampled under the steely feet of orcs. Let us recover what we can find before it is too late.
I respect your words, Beragon, but as I've known it, the hearts of men have needed more than a banner to lift their spirits at times such as these. But I feel I may have spoken harshly before. If this is important to you, then we can see if we can go about recovering it. However, if it deviates from our primary course, I feel it may be dangerous to do so.
Fair enough. But have I told you about the Cup of Dane in the House of Berethil?
Faroth just instantly looks to the door.
And he carries on talking about treasures, lost treasures that he's spent a life hearing stories about, and he's mad about recovering from the enemy.
As
I, on the other hand, look for answers, not trinkets. I appreciate their value, but I thrive on knowledge. That is why I want to go to Osgiliath.
Think of the knowledge you can get from such items, and he never gives up. You're not going to talk him out of this.
Yeah, as Beragon is talking about treasures, Nar reaches it down to a pouch, pulling out a gold coin that he runs his thumb over. At one having been recovered from the horde of smog, and his interest certainly piqued.
I stand by Syrian and The idea that the more we know of our enemy, the better.
Perhaps I'm Skilith. We know the enemy is there already. We can get intel guaranteed on our journey from there.
Hopefully some evidence will still be intact. And the orcs have not teared everything to pieces.
Then we must make a decision now. We shall vote. Cyneric, you seem to have strong opinions on where our path should take us.
I think Ascilius. Whether it be for knowledge, whether it be for fighting or just survival, I think it is the better choice.
Syrian?
Osgiliath.
Bedagond.
Osgiliath seems to be the sensible place to cross the river. And if it takes us to the boathouse of Hurin, then maybe we can come across the lost cup of the... And I carry on.
Paragond, I will tie you to my horse.
And now Iron Fist. Master Dwarf, your thoughts?
The time for talk is done. Let us be on our way.
So be it. To Ascilius.
Okay, so decided. You guys can get provisions. If you don't have a horse, you would be certainly given one. It's the least that the steward can do. Yes, so you can pick a riding horse or a draft horse, up to you guys, either of those two. Yeah, and you can make your way down through the spiraling city and out onto the Pelennor field. We'll just take a quick bio break there, guys. Just
Okay.
2 minutes.
Perfect. I will be right back. Lloyd, amazing so far.
Yep.
You like it?
Amazing. Love
Good.
it. It's so cool.
I'll be right back.
Position this on my camera. It's an intermission scene. Completely forgot I even had this.
What's that?
Well, it's Tolkien's map of Middle Earth essentially, and it just came in this little book called The Road Goes Ever On and On.
Okay.
It's like a selection of stories.
Yeah.
Which I have somewhere.
I think I've heard of it before. No, I haven't read that one. I did get all the way through Silmarillion. I survived. I don't know how much of it I retained, but
to be honest, I haven't really read much of the books. I tried reading them when I was little, and the language use I just couldn't kind of keep my attention to the books. But I know the lore pretty well. Obviously, I've seen all the movies and blah de blah.
I've done The Hobbit and I've done Lord of the Rings and I did the Silmarillion in sort of early teens. And I've seen the movies and everything. So I think I've, at one point or another, probably forgotten most of the lore. But
I am tempted to pick them up again to read.
Yeah.
It's great for just getting the names, you know, when you read them, because there's so much, they're so involved with names and stuff that you just like learn to memorize them and speak in a certain way. There's a very sort of Tolkien-esque way of speaking. And I said it to Carol in the chat as well. She was talking about how can you make it feel more flavorsome or whatever. And I think like one of the big things is that everything has like 6 names. You know, like every person of import, every city has many, many names and people refer to them interchangeably. And that really makes it feel like Lord of the Rings for me.
So you want us to do more research, basically, so we can name everything 6 times.
No, I'll do that. Don't worry.
Well, there's plenty of sources anyway. There's a
Yeah,
lot of fluff in the One Ring system as well, which is great.
Yeah, big time. It was one of the easiest games to research. Like if I wanted a map, there's 60 excellent maps available, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's great. I've got the whole soundtrack of the trilogy just playing in the background.
Yeah, me too.
The soundtrack is just incredible. One of my favorite soundtracks of all time.
It's my absolute favorite.
I completely forgot that one of the places nearby to Carandros is called Nindalf, which is also known as Wetwang.
Mm.
And not only is that a really comical name, but that's a real place in the UK as well.
I saw that and I was like, I'll be calling that Nindos.
But interestingly, a couple of the places in Middle-earth are very, very, very similar to that of Narnia, like almost word for word the same.
Well, didn't they used to frequent the same bar?
Yes,
I think they were friends, right?
They
Sorry
frequented
to
the
each other.
same
They were mates.
manuscript and ideas and stuff. They were like
Yeah.
best mates.
So I imagine some of the ideas got, at least by osmosis, if not intentional.
Yes.
They had a little club, didn't they? If I'm
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. They
That's
did.
awesome. With someone else as well. It was Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, and it was one other, and I never remember.
No, that's true. I don't think I actually managed to stop for a pint there. I did go past it on a whistle stop tour.
Oh, what's it called? Whereabouts is it? I always like to
I'll find it for
frequent
you.
the pub if I can. Although I did live very close to where he got married, Tolkien, for a while, so that was pretty cool. This Catholic
I
church
think
in work.
the Eagle and Child, it says here. Wiki tells me. St. Giles Street, Oxford.
Oh, right, okay.
Housed the Inklings, the writers group that included Tolkien and C.S. Lewis.
My
That's a
girlfriend
great
has just
name.
reliably informed me that C.S. Lewis and Tolkien had a stern discussion about whether a lamppost belonged in fantasy or not.
Yes, that's true.
Sorry, Lloyd, what were you saying? I cut you off.
I don't remember.
Oh,
man.
And thus greatness was lost.
Okay, are we back? I think we are. So you guys would have gotten your provisions ready and gotten to the front gate of Minas Tirith, and that's the hardest step is the first one. So in this system, they have a thing where you have a guide and etc. for your group.
Yeah, we have
Did we want
multiple
to-
ranges,
Yes.
which have special things when it comes to group travel.
Okay.
Well,
nice.
one of my node lands is the plains of Ithilien, and if we're traveling through there, then absolutely, I'd be more than happy to.
So there's a guide, a scout, a hunter, and a lookout.
So if it travels through a land that one of the rangers knows, it's lowered by 2 in terms of the personal events test DC.
Okay.
I
I'm
don't
going to
know
use
if that
this stuff.
stacks,
I'm going to use it very loosely.
Sure.
I don't like to randomly roll and see what happens. I like to know and plan my own stuff. But it's good. I think even for flavor wise to decide who does what, so that it's easy for you guys to describe kind of.
You might want to say who is good in which position, so we know who should
Right.
go where.
So the guide is in charge of all decisions concerning route, rest, and supplies. They rely on wisdom and survival proficiency. The scout is in charge of setting up camp, opening new trails. Scouts rely on stealth and investigation. The hunter is in charge of finding food. They rely on survival checks. And the lookout is in charge of keeping watch. They rely on perception. There are 5 of you, so I feel like we could definitely get another roll in here somewhere.
I can guide, I can hunt, or I can look out.
Well, with Ceneric, have you got? Does Ceneric know these lands particularly well as well? Because I could take up the scout role as well quite easily. So it's up to you.
Yeah, I know them reasonably well as well, but I'm more than happy for you to scout if I hunt or something.
Sure, I think that makes sense to me.
Is Scout the one who's stealth and finds?
Yes.
I'm good at that too.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Then maybe Rob, you could either look at or hunt. One of those two, perhaps.
Okay, I can be lookout. More than happy
Hey,
to.
Lloyd,
Yep.
idea I have for Nar, since I would not be very good at anything involving like stealth.
Right.
Obviously, perhaps like when we set up camp, I can spend time like reinforcing the camp, putting up some defenses, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. That seems a pretty decent role and very dwarfish.
Yeah,
It's good to me. We'll have to think of a cool name for it some other time. Yeah, so you guys, you can begin your journey towards Osgiliath. Now it's safe here. This is Pelennor. This is all within the purview of Minas Tirith, and it's not going to be particularly perilous or dangerous. You're riding through farmlands, pretty idyllic farmlands. But it's about 2 hours into your journey that the heavens open up with the rain, the likes of which you rarely see. Sheets, whoosh, just like coming down, torrential, horrible rain. And you can see, as you pull your hoods up, and you can hear the cling, 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 cling of rain hitting metal armor. That many of the farmhouses have like fires going, and they look quite warm and cozy. There's particularly a larger house that has a porch out front with a woman, a kind of elderly woman, and she's sitting there just enjoying the rain under the shelter of her porch. And she kind of waves. She says, "Get out of this rain!"
That sounds like an invitation to me.
Yes, this certainly is.
Faroth, having been used to, maybe he's not used to the catastrophic rain that we've just come across, but he's used to rain, and he sort of looks to the others, and he's basically going to see what the consensus is, because he would be more than happy to continue, but he will wait to see what everyone else thinks.
Seneca is probably like huddled forward against the rain, just slowly like making his way through it. His hair slicked back, rain like drops just pouring from over him in this storm. He might catch the eye of Faroth, seeing that he seems to be acclimatized to his weather as much as he might be. It goes, "We are not the only ones you have to consider."
With a resigned sigh, Faroth goes, "So be it. Let us welcome this hospitality. I'm sure it won't do any harm."
And then he pulls the rein sharply towards the house.
Yeah, the woman is welcoming, and you guys can get in under the porch, where it's almost nice to look at rain. And she says, "Oh, your estate! Oh goodness! Oh, come with me!" And she comes in, and it's this lovely smell kind of wafting out of a dinner cooked. And she grabs cloaks and towels so you can dry yourself and get nice and warm. She says, "Oh, you'll have to take off your boots though as you approach."
Thank you.
Are we planning to stop every time it rains?
Nar just looks over to him as he lifts a hand, giving his long beard a squeeze as a bunch of water pours out to the floor by his boots.
Pelennor Fields is very exposed. There will be far more places to shelter later on, but now we can certainly wait until it stops.
Don't you have pieces of paper or something that might get wet?
I
We
sort
wouldn't
of
want to lose the maps.
no. I'm already like checking that to make sure that they're all safe, and they are safe.
Farrell, for one, has never been on a journey that has halted 2 hours into the proceedings. So he's sort of a little bit confused, but he can't help but feel the pang in his stomach when he smells whatever beautiful food that has been cooked and prepared. And begrudgingly, he pulls his boots from his feet, which might not have been pulled from his feet for some time, and sort of looks wistfully into the kitchen, perhaps.
Yeah, she's very welcoming. She brings you in and kind of gets you dry and puts your boots next to the fire. She says, "Oh, I've cooked. I've cooked a lot of food. If you'd like to eat, you must want to eat. You must be starving. It's a long way from Minas Tirith," she says, looking out the window to see the city.
We are indebted to you. What is your name, good woman?
Morwen is my name.
Morwen, it is a pleasure. Thank you for your kindness. We will gladly partake in your fine meal.
Oh, very good. Well, please sit. And she goes. She takes out all this this lovely food. There's a roast chicken and veg of all kinds, fresh baked bread, all this incredible food. And you guys can eat heartily and enjoy yourself for the evening. And she'll say, "Well, you know, I always set a place for my boys in case they come back and my husband, but you never know. Someday, surely next week."
Your boys are away.
Yes, yeah, they're away. They went to Asgiliath to work for the steward. I'm sure they'll be back.
I think the hearty sort of feeling sort of grows a bit sour for a second as she mentions where her boys have gone.
Yeah, they signed on with the steward. I mean, he pays great. You know, he signed on for a year. You go to Asgiliath, you get to see the ancient city, and then, you know, you come back. They're just, they must be a couple of months late.
What are their names?
Oh, well, Adrahil and Malbeth.
He's not a very charismatic man, so he says that it's slightly more angry than you might, or unpleasant terse than you might expect.
Yeah, she's a bit confused by the severity of how you ask.
With a almost forced painted smile, Farrell isn't used to smiling. His weather-beaten, cracked face shows it, and he says, "We shall bid them your tidings if we pass by their way."
Yes, do. Yes. Tell them I cook them dinner every night. You know, I just want them home.
May I light my pipe up, my lady?
Of course, of course.
Basically, Syrian's trying to think of ways to just sort of preoccupy himself at the mention of Asgiliath and her boys leaving. He knows for certain they haven't come back because he's quite cynical about all that. So he'll take a very long drag on his pipe and probably wolf down some more chicken, just so he can't blurt out his real feelings about everything.
If I see them, I will say, "You are waiting. It is not good to fret."
Oh no, I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're fine. They must be fine.
A couple of months is very little. A couple of months extra is very little in service of such a fine man as Denethor, I say.
Oh, certainly, yes. I've never been prouder than the day they came. In their armor, they looked so grown up.
Did they speak of what they had been bidden to do on their expedition?
No, they didn't. They didn't want to worry me. They said they were going to Asgiliath, and well, they were going. I mean, they weren't alone. There was many going. There was a what did they say? An initiative, yes, to go and take the eastern side.
They don't happen to wear anything of yours, do they? Anything of this fine house?
Well, I mean, they went in their armor and their uniforms, but
No trinkets they took to remember you by?
oh, they might have yes. They would have taken my husband when he was alive. He used to carve animals out of wood. They both would have a lion.
Very well. I will keep an eye out for these lion brothers.
Well, thank you. Yes, yeah. Do tell them to come home. I miss them.
I'm sure they miss you too, and they'll be home as soon as they can.
Aye.
Well, what time is it?
It'd be. I guess you guys would have left relatively early, so it'd be maybe early afternoon.
Is the rain abating?
Doesn't look like it.
We could give it some time.
I fear we're not going to have any rest here. We can't. We have already imposed on this woman's hospitality. We should press on.
But it's raining.
There are worse things in the world than a bit of water.
I suppose that's true.
We thank you. Your food will keep us warm.
Yes, certainly. I hope you enjoyed it, and do tell my boys to come home when you see them.
I will remember.
Yeah, so you guys can. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just going to say Faroth gives her a sad smile as he lifts his hood back over his long black hair, and he sort of just hunches his shoulders as he steps out into the rain again.
You see Syrian bundle up all his papers into a bit of clothing that's very, very dry, and he tries to put them into one of his undergarments to keep them as absolutely dry as possible. But then when everyone steps out into the rain again, you actually hear Syrian almost kind of grunt quite loudly, almost like he's been hit by something. And you assume it's just because he's complaining about the rain.
As I'm perhaps the last one to leave, I'll turn back to Morwen and go, fighting against the shadow will make them stronger. It did me. And then he turns to leave.
Yeah, she doesn't really know what to say to that. So she just kind of puts her hand on your arm and gives you a squeeze.
He doesn't meet her eye, and then he pulls away into the sheet of rain, smashing into the porch.
Once everyone has departed, at the table next to the large puddle that Nar left, she will find a few gold coins on the table.
Very nice. Yes, you guys go back into the hideous rain and continue your journey onwards towards Osgiliath. So as I said, it is safe here. There's no danger of attacks this far or this close to Minas Tirith. But it's another few hours, maybe 4 hours until you get there. The rain does, after another hour and a half, stop. And the sun comes out, although you're pretty much soaked through by that stage. But nonetheless, the sun is out when you reach, or you gain sight of Osgiliath, the greatest city that man ever built. It spans the Anduin. It was the capital of the Kingdom of Men, but for a long time it has been in ruin. So you would be entering, let's see here, you'd be entering from the Golden Gate. not gold anymore. You'll see as you approach that where once there were golden statues and gold sort of gilt gold leaf all over it, that has been stripped down to the point where now it's bare rock. Yeah, and you can go through this gate without any problems through to a road with shriveled trees on both sides. Beautiful avenue once, but now shriveled and old.
Lloyd, how light is it at the moment?
It's probably approaching evening, so probably twilight.
Faroth eyes the setting sun, and he looks to the others and says, "We will be taking a substantial risk if we are to continue in the darkness. I will be more than happy to press on, but for those who are not sure, perhaps we may need to find somewhere defensible and subtle."
Cenric's hand goes to his throat. He just rubs it gingerly and then steels himself, as the shadow holds no peril for me. We could aid our advance.
Lloyd, I have a question.
Yep.
As part of my background, I have the dark foreboding. I'm not sure if it would work in this way or not. Would I be able to tell if there's any presence of the shadow? It says that I won't exactly know like what behind the feeling, but I can sense its presence if it grows stronger or weaker. Do I get kind of any general sense of that in the area that we're in right now?
Not the area you're in right now. You get a general sense of foreboding about Osgiliath, sort of the tragedy of a fallen utopia, but you don't get a sense of like direct shadow here.
Okay, no immediate. Okay.
Yeah.
This may be our last chance to get a bit of rest in peace before we draw much closer to the city and the shadow over it. It may be wise to take that advantage of that time, for we not know when we'll be able to stop and rest again.
I agree with Nar. If there are indeed orcs about, they do not like the sunlight. We must use that to our advantage and ensure we travel by day.
We're on the safe side of the river, though, at the minute, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let us rest on the western banks and worry about tomorrow.
Yes.
Have we've just moved into the Golden Gates. So are there no other presence of men around? Are we on the edge of the ruins of the city, or?
Yeah, you don't see any men here.
Is there not a garrison in Osgiliath?
Not a proper garrison. Like there are meant to be soldiers here, but they're kind of more rangery than garrisony.
Right. Do we seek out some of the men of Gondor, or do we just see to ourselves?
No offense to your company, but I suggest we seek out the men of Gondor.
Well, I don't mind having another pair of eyes on my horse while I rest.
I sort of look round for any signs of smoke coming up, or any sort of if they're rangers, they probably won't give away any sign, but I'll look round see if I can spot anything.
Sure. You can give me a perception check.
A what?
A perception check.
Can I do an investigation?
Yes,
I'll be searching around, looking for clues.
no problem.
If you like, I think Farah could give you advantage by helping you there.
Yeah, looking for signs of passing and yep.
Mm-hmm. So, if I have advantage, I've got 19.
Excellent. Yeah. So, kind of coming through the ruins as you move, you will find a what would you say? Kind of like a barrier that's been built recently. Like several just bits of like broken rock or whatever have been built in a way to block off a certain road. It looks recent, and so following that, you're able to travel. You have to move for about 90 minutes or so through the city, kind of combing through until eventually you find that you've been blocked in. All these walls have been built in a way that if you move in, it's very difficult to move back out again. But at the end, you can just hear the of a bow being strung or drawn, and then let go. Oh, it works.
I'm Beragond of Minas Ithil, Syrian, son of Eridan. And these are our companions, Noor, the dwarf. We have a ranger from the north, Farah, and Cineric of the Rohirrim. We're on a mission.
Indeed, that makes sense. No one will come here of their own free will. And what brings you here?
We seek a place to sleep the night before crossing the river and moving on.
Aye, you'll have it. And you see then from up on top of a roof, a man kind of climbs his way down. He's got a shaved head and just a bit of stubble. He extends a hand. I'm Celephorn.
Faroth has a while he spoke earlier of the Rangers of Gondor perhaps being spread thin. Faroth does have a large respect for the men, the individuals that make up this fighting force, and he looks to the ranger that's greeted them, and he gives them a curt nod, and he says, "Any news from beyond Anduin, the river?"
The orcs, something's kicked the hornet's nest. They're moving in greater numbers. We've had to move back and back again into the western part of the city. We started constructing these traps. They seem to work really well. The orcs are, well, brutal, are not very cunning. From what we've seen, we trap them here in these courtyards and pelt them with arrows. And he goes, "Oh, excuse me," and he makes a whistle. And a bunch of other rangers who are like dotted around the rooftops, whatever, will come down. He says, "You're welcome to rest with us. We've taken refuge in the old nobles' houses. It's pretty comfortable, actually," he says with a grin.
I can imagine. Our road takes us to Denethor. Any word from there?
Not for some time. But they tend to come very rarely. Making the crossing is the most dangerous part of the journey, and so they tend to avoid it.
Well, we're glad of your company. I thank you.
Certainly, you're welcome. And he kind of points to two of the guys, and they will bring you through these winding sort of alleyways and streets, eventually to a huge manor house, one of many in this area. This is obviously once a very rich area of Osgiliath. These massive manor houses, each with like their own wall, a little village all to itself. This huge house, and you can come in. You can see there are quite a lot of rangers here, soldiers, but it seems like their tactics are not to act as a garrison, but more to try and trick the orcs and limit as many as they can. Yeah, and they'll show you through into a room that was once a bedroom, but now there are maybe 10 men sleeping in it, and there's room for another 20. Huge cavernous room with high ceilings and the kind of room you'd never see in Rohan, certainly. Just like opulence. Even in its ruined sort of state, still you can tell it's incredibly opulent.
As we're being led, I'm going to ask, what do you know of the initiative and the men that were being sent here?
Yeah, his face kind of darkens. He says, "Fools errand." Our Lord Stewart got it into his head that the west or the eastern side should be retaken. And so he offered incentives for young men and women to join up and try and retake the eastern side of the city. And I'm sure you can imagine how that went. These were raw recruits.
Did none of them make it back?
Some of them did, certainly. Most of them didn't get very far before they decided to run.
The shadow takes a toll on us all.
Aye. The orcs, the ones that come over here are the dumb ones, the brutes, the ones who want to make a name for themselves. The smart ones, they stay over there and they control that city. They control it. They have a tight noose on the throat of the east of the city. And there's a chieftain over there, Malag, they call him. He's the one to watch out for.
Are there still pathways between the two cities, or is it up by ferry?
No, one of the bridges still remains. Ias Sonnen, the greatest bridge that goes directly across to the old harbour. That still stands.
What was that name again?
It is, trying not to butcher the pronouncing this time. It is Iant Solon.
Great bridge to the harbour. Well.
Yeah, it leads across to Tol Githoniel, which is like the sand spit, and the quays and the harbour was once there.
Lloyd, how intact are these manor houses and the buildings that surround us at this point? Are they okay, or?
This particular area seems to be okay. It's probably why the Rangers have chosen it. It seems to be less destroyed than the rest. It's run down, maybe a bit moldy, maybe a bit, some rotten wood and stuff like that, but mostly the stonework is intact. But you had seen when you were moving, kind of the closer you got to the river, the more ruined and destroyed the stonework was, and the more you saw kind of destroyed buildings.
Well, Beragond, if you seeked your trinkets of the world of men, perhaps this might be the easiest place to look.
Beragond is looking around at the carvings on the walls and various things, and his eyes look on the turtlefish banner, and he says, "I believe this is the house. This is the house of Damrod. Gilrain of old had a beautiful ivory comb, which when they fled the city, they didn't take with them. One of her favorite places was out in the garden. I'll just go and investigate." And he takes her spade and goes digging through the garden looking for the lost comb of Gilrain.
As he goes,
That is so cool.
As he goes babbling out, Cynric just rolls his eyes, hoists up his axe out of the iron ring on his belt and go, I best see to it that he doesn't get himself killed. Just follows him out.
Yeah, the rangers give you kind of a funny look as you begin digging through the garden, but they don't interfere.
I reckon I dig for an hour or so and then give up.
So
unless of course I find it.
I'm gonna find this hard to believe. I had in my head that you had a 10% chance of finding it, and I just rolled a percentile, and it's a 2. So
Hey.
in your in your hour of searching, eventually you come upon a clunk, and you're like, huh? And you're able to pull out a very small sort of wooden crate box, and opening it, you'll see in this perfect little inlay inside, just a very small, extremely fine ivory comb.
I'm not sure he wrote any, but Cynric would be swearing and Rohirrim right now. Something along the lines of, I can't fucking believe it. You actually went and found it.
Your senses are keen, Beragond, it is clear.
This is an omen for the good luck that our mission will carry, I say. And I put the comb in the mane of, what's your horse called?
Mine is Ciaro.
Ciaro. I put the comb in the mane of Ciaro.
Yeah, you'll find that as you do, it just seems to come out knots with almost no resistance. It's incredibly finely made. Yeah, and the horse seems to enjoy it greatly.
Looking around everyone, I say, Ciaro is the only one with hair beautiful enough to warrant such a treasure, and I place it in the horse's mane.
As beautiful as Damrod's maiden, that's for sure.
I think we should rest. We have a long day tomorrow.
Yeah, so you guys can get comfy with blankets and furs, and even dry out some of your soaking wet clothes and spend the night.
Can't believe I'm writing equipment for my horse now.
Yeah, the next day will dawn clear, warm, cold, somewhere in the middle. Who knows? It's hard to tell in here, but it looks sunny. And the rangers are up making breakfast, and you can smell. Mostly, it's just like rations and stuff like that. It's nothing exciting. But one of them has rashers, delicious bacon rashers, and you guys are able to eat some of those and feel heartened. And so for the morning, you guys can hang out with the rangers, and they'll continue to tell you about the routes that they would take if you wanted to try and get to the bridge. They strongly advise against it, but if you are determined to, then this is the route that you should take. And they'll even guide you in that direction. Let's see. Yeah, so as you move towards the bridge, it becomes kind of harder and harder to feel good. Like, you just get the sense of enormous tragedy as you look at all the ruined buildings. All of these incredible ancient buildings that were just almost beyond understanding. They couldn't build them now if they tried. And everywhere you look, there's just ruin. Sometimes you see like symbols splattered with blood onto buildings in the black speech. Hurts your eyes to look at them. But yeah, it's no good.
So as this feeling begins moving over the group, Nar will feel the weight of it as well, but then his thoughts will turn to something darker, the visions of his own death, and he'll actually give a small chuckle as he looks around, realizing that as bad as it seems, it could be worse. And it'll start out as kind of low throating chanting as he kind of begins singing to himself, in resistance to this dark pall, as he is seen worse visions.
Yeah, you guys can get to the bridge with the dwarven song, kind of lifting your spirits, and you can see that the bridge is in fact intact. And it leads to a large bit of land that's called Tol Githoniel, which is where the old harbour was. And you can see even from here that on the eastern side, the devastation is so much worse. You can see that famous buildings like the Rotunda of Ossé, and even the Dome of Stars have been left to ruin. The Dome of Stars, which is where Elendil had built this city, named after him, even. Seeing that destroyed, you feel like a coldness descend upon you, and you can see that dark clouds are gathering over the eastern side of the city. I'd like everyone to make a wisdom check, please.
Okay. $17.
Excellent.
That's a 16.
Very good.
Just a straight wisdom check. It's not.
A save. Sorry, a save.
It's a wisdom save, right? Very well.
Oh, that's what I did. Okay.
It was meant to be, yeah.
That's not brilliant. That's an 8.
Okay.
I beat him. I've got a 9.
11.
Okay. So you three find it all a bit overwhelming. I think Nara's thoughts are dark anyway. He has a tendency towards sort of brooding thoughts. And seeing the destruction of these ancient things, it just begins to grate on you. Cynric, I think the idea of seeing this place, even if it's Gondor rather than Rohan, laid low by the shadow, it would just bring back terrible memories for you. And Beregond, most of all, seeing these treasures that you treasure so much destroyed would be devastating. So you guys each get a point of shadow.
I think the change of mood from the sort of mirth as we heard that song from Durin Sloke to that sudden change of somber mood, I think Faroth sort of senses it, and he looks back and he looks to the company, this newly found company, and he says, "The shadow has wrought destruction, but it will make us strong in ways you wouldn't even believe." And he sort of turns and he keeps walking.
Yeah, I feel like Faroth has been hardened by the shadow quite a bit. And I think Syrian maybe is able to just like rationally explain it away. Like, this happened a long time ago. That doesn't mean that's happening right now. What do you think, Syrian? How are you dealing with it?
Well, this is very difficult. But yeah, he's just trying to think of everything as completely rational as possible. So yes, it is still fairly safe, and the clouds darkening is just a coincidence, and
right,
and all this, and his father died a long time ago, like 15 years ago, sort of thing. So this does not mean the shadow is here yet.
Yeah, I think you're rationally equipped to kind of see things as they are, while some of the others would see omens in every turn of the wind, and so maybe that helps you overcome the sense of foreboding. Now, the bridge itself is long. It is 2,700 feet long, however long you think that is. I guess like half a mile long thereabouts. And it stretches across the Anduin, and you can see that the Anduin thunders past underneath it at a shockingly fast pace. Now, the bridge itself, there are towers along the bridge. It's quite wide. It's probably about 40 feet wide. And it's got these big, I don't even know what you call them, like railings, but made of stone all along the bridge. Yeah, but obviously, it being a bridge, there's very little cover for you to hide behind. So how do you think you're going to get across this bridge? Simply walk?
I do not like the idea of crossing this bridge.
I mean, I already
Why?
asked after like ferries or rafts or something. Is there alternate ways over that we'd be able to create if they don't already use?
There's not a ferry or anything here. The Rangers' rationale would be like, okay, there's one way across. At least we can police that one way across. But unfortunately, that goes the other way as well. You know.
Yeah, I just wondered if they ever made surprise attacks, like flanking attacks by small craft or anything like that.
Just looking. Oh, sorry, Lloyd.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, they probably, but they would go outside of the city and around, most likely. Yeah, I'm sure you could figure something out if you were determined to make a raft or something, but it is quite fast flowing here.
Okay.
I was going to say, Lloyd, from the looks of the bridge, just at glancing at it, I mean, obviously it's going to be out in the open. We will definitely be exposed if we go across that bridge. But is there any sign of recent carnage or battle upon this bridge at all?
Not recent, no.
Okay.
You can the side that you're on is quite clean. The Rangers deliberately keep it that way, you would assume, so that nothing sneaks up and there's no kind of buildup of debris or anything like that. But you can't really see all the way to the other side.
Farrell is going to look to the group, and once again, it's going to try and take a consensus of how we are feeling. What is the... my instinct would be that we hastily cross. Keep low, keep quiet.
A bridge is designed for men to cross, and we must do so with haste.
Nar will begin moving forward, concentrating on the. You said that it was kind of dark and shadowed on the opposite side. Lloyd?
Yeah, it's just it's kind of a little bit far. It's like a half a mile, so it's a little bit, and there's a bit of a mist rising up from the river.
Right. So as he begins moving forward, I'll be using my vigilant senses, which gives me advantage on perception checks to sense enemies or ambushes. Because I'm really focused on. Obviously, this would be that perfect opportunity. And I kind of, like I said, he just kind of spurs ahead, knowing the time of his death, and that there's nothing he can do to avoid it anyway. And so he just begins forward.
Perfect.
I'm looking to the group, and then to Nar, this stout, brave dwarf that is just going ahead without a second thought, and with a almost half shrug, Baroth, hand on his hilt, begins to follow him.
So the idea here is that you're going to get across as quick as possible.
Yeah, as quick as I can without, well, yeah, basically, yeah, as quick as I can. Really. There's no
Because you guys
reason
have
not
horses,
to.
are you going to be galloping across?
That's true.
Yeah, I considered everyone seemed to be walking, and I was like, well, I'll just wait for a while and then bolt across after them.
Because you do have horses, and obviously horses are particularly noisy, especially when they move fast on stone.
I had neglected to think about this.
If you want to leave your horses here, you can, but
I had thought a little bit.
I think
I'm
Nar will
wondering if we should-
probably just as noisy, if not more noisy, stomping with his heavy plate boots on the bridge. So
Well, I was wondering if we should get off a horse and lead them across on foot.
That isn't a bad suggestion.
If
At
we
least
then
we can
have
control. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
then we can get back on.
Well, I'm going to look to the Rohirrim of the group, and as the most experienced rider in dealing with horses, what is his recommendation on this? Farrell just simply looks at him and raises his eyebrows as the dwarf, I'm guessing, is still continuing.
Yeah.
You say a lot in an eyebrow raise, but I'm sure he gets the message. We should lead them, but keep them close by. I have a feeling when we get to the end, we might need them.
Okay, so you begin to make progress across the bridge, trying to keep as quiet as you can.
I'll keep the. How high is the sort of side wall of the bridge, or?
Let's see. Small enough that you can look over it and admire the river. So maybe it's 4 feet high, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll keep the horse between me and the side of the river, but sort of next to. Oh, never mind. Basically, I'm using the horse as cover.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, you guys begin making your way across the bridge, and all you can hear is the rushing of the water, and you can see the mists kind of swirling ahead. Now, you said you had advantage on perception checks because you're expecting danger, Dennis?
Yeah, it's a feature. Vigilant senses gives me advantage on perception to sense enemies or ambushes.
Great.
And I also have that
The foreboding.
which senses
Yeah.
like intensity of the shadow, if it's current, stronger, or weaker, and that kind of thing.
Okay, so you can give me a perception check, please, with advantage.
If this counts as wilderness, the rangers have proficiency, expertise in their.
I was looking, but I mean, I don't know. This doesn't really seem.
This is a city.
No one lives here. It is ruins. It's an urban wilderness.
It
No,
is.
I checked my character sheet. I was like, oh, wait, no, it's not wilderness.
Profoundly a city.
23.
Okay, yeah, so you guys are walking across, and now you guys have a sense of dread, pending sort of worry that there might be danger ahead, and that's when you kind of see up ahead, moving ever so slightly, some forms up ahead. One of the towers, kind of on the side of the bridge, it looks like they're up ahead. There's like a barrier set up.
Okay, so at this point, I'll probably slow my mount and dismount. The last thing I want to do is have it taken arrows. I'm galloping and get thrown, and I see no reason to put the animal in danger. So I'll dismount and begin moving forward. There's not really any cover to be had, so I'll just pull out my mattock and begin trudging forward. If there's any way to like use angles of the sides, I don't know. It's going to be probably high enough that there's not so much I can do, but just continue forward.
Yep, no problem. It's not too long after that you hear a voice call out from ahead. You want to get through? You're going to have to pay, human.
Ha! Human? You will answer for that insult.
What is it? What is it?
Come down and find out.
What have you got? Meat? Coins?
All that and more if you can take it.
There's kind of a pause. All right, get him, boys! And then you hear like a bunch of like rifling and shaking and stuff, and dice spill out of your pocket as your own initiative.
That's what happens when you let the dwarf be the diplomat in that situation. I love it so much. That was awesome.
Could we have been readying ourselves for the inevitable? It's only going to go one way.
You could have been. But
I didn't want to interrupt, so I thought that was beautiful. That and more.
Yeah.
Take it. That was so hardcore.
I don't suppose it's is it too much of a stretch to say his insult, call me a human, be enough to initiate my my rage, my battle fury?
It's to me.
I got a
Okay. All right.
15.
That's 14. I'm putting it in the chat.
yeah. Considering my bonus is a 1, a 20 is pretty darn awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the dwarf is on it. Don't call a dwarf a human.
14 for initiative, Rob, is it?
Yeah, sorry. 14. I put it in the chat.
What did you get, Jay?
15.
Okay, Nar, you were first to act. You can see up ahead all these forms moving, probably about 30 feet in front of you. Looks like there's quite a few orcs.
So did you say I could be in a fury, or would I need to?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so I'll bellow out orcs as I bring my medic to bear and just charge forward to the nearest orc I can see.
All right, yeah. You rush through the mist, and you can. The first one you encounter is a sort of a small. He's got these like sharp teeth, and he's painted red all around his mouth. He looks up and he's like, "Go ahead and give him a smack."
Well, aren't you a scrawny one? So, so that would be 23 to hit.
Oh yes.
Okay. Let's see. So that 11, 17 points of damage.
My goodness. Yeah. You murder him. Tell me how.
So yes, while he does also carry a warhammer, his main weapon of choice is the mattock that he's forged, which is basically often as a tool, but many of the dwarves of the Iron Hills also use this as a weapon. And he uses the pointy end basically to impale it from one side of his head to the other, kicking it off the blade as he gives a deep guttural laugh and looks for the next victim. And then, of course, that will be my turn.
No problem. Muzzler the Tall, a particularly scrawny miniature orc with a cruel-looking knife in his hand, begins to sneak up behind the dwarf. You guys can see it happening in slow motion, and he's like licking his lips, like, and he's going to try and get his knife between your shoulder blades.
That will be a 20 AC.
Whew. Wow, that's a high AC, but he makes it. The knife is going to stick in for. Oh, that's poor. For 4 damage.
So I'll take 2.
Yes, I need you to make a Constitution save.
This is poison by any chance?
Yes.
Awesome.
God.
I am resistant to poison damage, and I do get advantages on save versus poison. And I am proficient with con. This is looking better and better. Sometimes it's good to be a dwarf. That's all I can say. So yeah, that's 20.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you can feel kind of the knife just basically get through a small gap in your armor and chink into your back, and you can feel the sort of the heat radiating from this knife that seems to be laced with some sort of toxin, but your constitution is too strong, and you shrug it off. But then he tries to stab you a second time.
Aha, aren't you a sneaky one?
I'm gonna gut you like a fish. But it bangs against your armor. He tries to get the knife in, but as you turn to look, it just scrapes off one of the pauldrons on your armor, and he looks up dismayed. Syrian.
Yeah, okay, so obviously Syrian is really not used to this at all, but he does have a couple of weapons that he carries, and once he sees this scrawny orc trying to stab the dwarf several times in the back, in that second where the orc kind of looks in dismay that he didn't get the knife in the second time, he's going to try and take a shot with his short bow.
Excellent.
But keeping nice far back, so he's not going to get hurt from this, and hopefully he'll miss the dwarf. Okay, that is 16.
That's a hit.
Terrible damage roll, though. Okay, so that is 3 piercing damage.
It all adds up. Yeah, so the arrow kind of grazes the shoulder of the orc, and he looks and he snarls in your direction. Although it's hardly a snarl, more of a weird little noise. He's not the most imposing of orcs, but he's definitely crafty. Excellent. Anything else from you?
No, not really. You'll see that actually from the strain of the botanist again, he's not used to this. He's almost kind of trembling at the fact that he's just shot an orc, but yeah. He tries to still look confident in his expression.
Excellent.
Not bad.
Farath, you're up.
So Varath watches as is the mist still there, Lloyd? Are these orcs so these orcs are pouring out of this mist, and Varath basically just takes a dark look at these orcs from beneath his hood, and he positions himself in front of his horse, and he draws both his broadsword and a short sword that he holds inverted, and he sort of starts walking and then speeds up faster and faster, and then launches into a flurry of attacks against, I guess, the tall. As he's the closest. So here we go. I roll 2 16s on the die, +3 each, so that's 19 for both.
2 hits.
Excellent. So let me quickly roll that up. Oh, max! And okay, so that is 16 points of damage.
Oh my, very good. Yeah, he doesn't like that. So you come up and 2 quick cuts, black blood sprays onto the bridge, but he still stands. Okay, the Nors, yes. So a bunch of sort of orcs with these red painted symbols around their mouths begin to move forward, 3 of them. And one is going to try and jump at you, Farath. Let's see if you can pull that off. He does not. He tries, but you're too quick. You bring your short sword up and parry his blade to the side. But as you do so, a second one tries to stab you in the gut. And he does, unless your AC is above 17.
I'm afraid it's not. It's 15.
Okay, excellent. Okay, that'll be 4 points of damage.
Okay.
He gets the knife in, and then he leans forward and tries to bite you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, and a 19 on the dice, that'll hit as well. So this... Okay, and that is 6 points damage. So he gets the knife in, and then he rushes forward to the wound and begins biting at it. And you see as he rips apart a flesh away, he, like a snake, flicks up into the air and swallows it down. And you begin to think that this is not war paint, it's blood. The third of the Nors is going to run up behind Nar and try and stab him in the back. But he misses. He tries to get through the ridiculous armor of the dwarf, but these orc weapons are not made to get through. Dwarf forged steel. Cynric.
The dwarf is now surrounded by quite a few fellows.
Yes, the dwarf and Farath. There are 4 orcs around them.
Is there a clear charge?
um, how do you like to charge through?
I want to basically charge past one of them and strike them like a cavalryman might.
Yes, you could do
combat.
that. Yeah.
Without knocking everyone, all my friends
Yes.
over or whatever. Right. For wrath, for ruin, for vengeance. He spurs on Sierra and then charges in. That's 18 to hit.
That's a hit.
Excellent. And I rolled. So I'm single-handed axing with the shield in one hand and riding, and I'm versus orcs. So I have +3 from the strength, +6 from 3 various skills from riding using an axe and fighting orcs, and then I just rolled 8 on the die. So that's 8 + 9.
Wow.
For 17.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you can hear the charge of the singular Rohirrim behind you. And then the axe describes an arc in the air and the head rolls.
If I killed that guy and I managed to get one who was on the edge, and I don't get any opportunity attacks, I'll just wheel around with the rest of my movement and come back along the bridge to turn for another charge.
Yes, I think one of them will be able to try and get a stab at you, but the rest are too far on the other side. This one little orc is going to try and stab your horse.
Can I shield it using my armor class, or can I get the shield benefit at least? Or
I think you have. I feel like there's a feat that lets you do that.
There is, that allows you to take the attacks rather than it.
Yes.
Which one is that?
It's one of the.
Right. I'll take a look for that one then. I
I
don't
don't think
have
it's.
that one.
I don't think it's in Adventures of Middle Earth. I think it's one of the.
One of the 5e feats.
Okay.
I will allow it to have +2 AC from your shield.
Good. That means it has 12, so it's still probably likely to get hit, but it's something.
He did manage to connect. Unfortunately, he rolled an 11 on the die +3. But he does 4 damage to your horse. Just cuts with the little blade into the flank of the horse of Ciaru. But she's made of sterner stuff, I think.
Yeah, a little bit sterner than that.
Yeah. All right. Anything else from you then?
If Ciara doesn't get a hoof attack against that orc, then no.
I think with a horse, you either attack or the horse attacks. So
okay.
Because they don't have their own initiative. Okay, Baragond.
How thick is the mist? How far can we see?
You have good visibility for about 20 feet.
Only 20 feet.
Yeah, it's quite thick.
Okay, Beragund unshoulders his bow and notches an arrow and advances through the mist until what's the first sort of battle that he comes across in. He can hear fighting in front of him.
Yeah,
people have run up ahead.
You'd hear fighting up ahead. Yeah, the screams of rage of the dwarf, the kind of, I would imagine, the quiet grunting of the Dunedain, and the triumphant brum, brum of the horse up ahead. And you would come into a scene where you would see Nar and Farath surrounded by 3 orcs.
Are any of them injured?
Not visibly. Actually, yes. The smallest of the orcs, the runtiest, he's got kind of bluish skin and sort of reddish eyes. He seems to be injured.
Okay. My hands trembling slightly, trying to steel myself as a man of Gondor and worthy of my race. I draw my bead on the injured orc and let loose an arrow, praying to Denuviel as I do so.
Excellent.
But my prayers don't seem to be answered with an AC of 11, and then I
No.
back into the mists.
Excellent. Yeah, another arrow comes hurtling towards Muzzlor, but through the mist, it kind of just misses him. Just barely.
As I'm backing off, I'm sort of listening out, seeing if I can hear any other sort of noises around us, or if anyone's sneaking under the bridge, sort of trying to flank us.
Yeah. You do hear the twang of bowstrings from ahead. 2 of them. And an arrow whizzes directly in front of your face, Faroth, but misses you by about an inch. But one manages to find a chink in Nar's armor, in the side. Doing 6, so 3 to you, Nar, and another con save.
Nat 20, so total 25.
Shrugs it off as if there's nothing. Yeah, your body is proof against the orc's poison once again. And then you can see them, or you can begin to hear them anyway, clambering forwards, and you can see them kind of climbing down from the top of the tower. Two more orcs. And they're back to the top with Nar.
As the arrow strikes and sticks out of his armor, Nar laughs. I have seen my death, and it'll take more than the likes of you, as he takes another swing at the tall.
Nice.
So that will be 18 to hit.
Yep, that's a hit.
Not bad. 15 points of damage.
Not bad at all. Yeah, he's looking in a pretty sorry state right now. He's been smashed with this Matic once again, and he brings one of his hands up almost in submission. But then it is his turn. He's going to disengage from you and begin sprinting away from the area back into the mist towards the eastern side of Osgiliath as quickly as his little stubby legs will take him, saying, "Get him, boys, get him!" as he runs away like an absolute coward. Syrian. He disengaged, Rob, so there's no attacks of opportunity.
Yeah, okay. So as he's kind of starting to run away and screaming, "Get him, boys!" It's kind of weird. This instinct has taken over Syrian for a minute with his back turned to us. I'm going to try and lob another shot at him and see if I managed to get him to fall to the ground, to perhaps intimidate the rest of his boys.
Excellent.
Okay. That is 15.
That will hit him.
Oh, and 7 piercing damage.
Yep. So that he's exactly done. So he's running, and he's like looking over his shoulder. He's like, and then the arrow just thunk into his throat, and he falls dead to the ground. His boys look quite concerned. Nice shot. All right, that's the end of Muzzler the Tall.
I'm kind of terrified that will cause them to run towards us, but I'm adamant, and I'll just look and do a big sort of nod.
Yeah, act confident. All right, Farath.
So I'm going to compare one of this kind of fight, one of the fights you see in the movies where there is no music over it. It's just dirty. All you can hear is the screaming and the clashing of iron. And basically, Faroth is basically just seen a red mist, like he is furious that this filth has managed to lay its teeth on him. So he is basically going to all-out attack the orc that bit him with his blade and short blade. So here we go. Okay, so I got a 16 again and a 14.
14 does it.
Excellent. Okay, cool. So to the one that bit me, that is, and I realized I also get a +2 against Agents of the Shadow with my damage. So that makes that 17 points of damage.
That is a dead orc.
Excellent. I just cut him down, cut him to pieces.
No ceremony or anything dramatic, just efficient killing. No problem. The orc gnawers are gone now, all of them. Cinerek, you can see that there are 2 orcs crawling down the tower, or they were crawling down. You can imagine once they get the chance to react, they'll be crawling right back up that tower.
From my vantage point on the horse, would I be able to hit them at all, or are they too high up?
Yes, they're close enough that if you stood up in your saddle, you'd be able to swing at one of them.
That sounds dangerous on a bridge, but why not? So as I was like reversing and moving back to our lines, I see the arrow like come past me and take out the tall guy. So I point my axe towards Syrian and goes, "You have fire in you yet, scholar."
Nice.
And then he like wheels around with the axe in the air and then goes full pelt towards one of them coming down. And then apparently I'm going to try this, stand in the saddle and smash this thing. Animal handling, acrobatics, or
yeah, I think your choice of animal handling or acrobatics.
It's going to be animal handling, and I've rolled on like terribly this session. I honestly just rolled a natural 20 for absolutely perfect balance through the mist, through the fighting. That is 15
got that
damage.
picture of AMR like screaming when he throws a spear. You know, that's what I've got in my head. It was how much? 15, you said?
15 damage as I whirl at it as it climbs down and realizes too late the noise coming up on its hooves.
Yeah, you gooify the head of this orc. He's climbing down like a spider, almost like face first climbing down. And he looks up in horror as the axe just catches him in the side of the head. And he begins to tumble down. Beragond.
He's hearing screaming in front of him. He advances, sees orcs dead all over the place, carries on advancing until... Is the only one left the one climbing the wall?
It's the only one left, yeah.
And how far is it from safety?
How far is the orc from safety?
Yep.
It would have to.
Will it get out of range in one round?
Of bow range? No, it will get out of close combat range, but you'll be able to see it next round as well if it climbs.
No, I'll just shoot at it.
Okay.
Has it seen me? No, I won't be able.
It's very focused on Cinerek, who has just caved in the skull of its friend.
The reason I'm asking that is, am I able to use a sneak attack on it or not? No.
Yes.
Probably
yes.
not.
I'm going to say yes.
Yep. Okay. I move silently out of the mists, loose an arrow, and miss. It goes flying into the darkness, and I curse. And fall back a bit.
It clangs off the stone next to the orc. The orc, seeing Cinerek down there, whirling about with axe in hand, begins climbing back up, lashes its leg onto a sort of wooden beam, and hangs upside down and tries to take a shot. It's going to try and take a shot at, let's see, I think it's going to try and hit Cinerek since it killed his friend. Let's see if it can pull that off. Oh dear, that's a crit.
Of course it is. Oh, of course it is.
Very down. So that'll be 11 damage.
Ouch.
And I need you to roll me a d20.
Six.
Oh, that's bad.
Mhm.
Does anyone have the Doom book handy? The DMG handy? Mine is in another room.
For lingering injuries, you mean?
Yes.
Six,
Yeah,
did
I've
you
got it
say?
right here.
Internal
What page?
injury DC 15.
Oh,
Oh,
Jesus.
that's a bad one.
Yeah.
Literally the worst.
Well, I don't know. The lingering wound's pretty nasty as well.
festering
unless we
wound,
have
yeah.
healing.
I'd say like a
festering
decapitation would be worse.
Believe me, this has caused us a lot of pain.
This is bad. Yeah, so it manages to get an arrow and just hits you right in the belly.
Oh no.
Right in the center of the belly. And I think that means you have to make a DC 15 con save before you act in combat.
Yep.
Yeah, and if I don't get magical healing, which there isn't in this game, it's for 10 days.
I think that's festering wound where you continue to lose health and then die. I think internal injury is
Yeah.
the one where you just have to make the con save or not act in combat.
Yeah, you've got to make your con save to act.
Yeah, but for how long
Each round.
is this? Is this not 10 days? I thought that was what Ragnar had in our game.
Oh, I don't know. I'll look
think
up the specifics after, I guess.
Yep, it's 10 days.
Oh, it's 10 days. Okay.
Without magical healing, of which there isn't any in this game.
We'll have to figure something out. Yes,
Athalath.
Athalath, exactly. Kingsfall might say to you. Yeah, so the arrow right in the stomach. And the orc lets out this stuck you like a pig. And then it's back to Nar.
So, as I understand it, it ceased in its climbing and kind of was hanging down to take the shot.
Yeah.
So it would be within reach.
No, not within reach of you, certainly not.
Okay. Would it be in reach of a spear throw?
Yes.
Okay, so seeing his companion impaled with this arrow and the glee on the features of this goblin, he'll growl as he sets down his mattock and grabs a spear, giving it a half before he tosses it. So that will be an 18 to hit.
That's a hit.
Okay. Not as much damage, but 4, 7, 9 points of damage.
9. Okay. Yeah, this orc is all but dead. The spear pierces right through him and impales him to the wall of the tower. He's got a hit point. What's a hit point realistically? He just sits there going, and then he lets go of his hold, but the spear holds him in place, impaled onto the wooden or the stone tower itself. And that's the end of that combat, gentlemen. Well done, and lady. Congratulations, you have killed some orcs.
So Nar will pick up his mattock and then begin running towards Finrick.
I actually passed my first DC 15, so I probably was shot straight from the horse.
Wow.
And before you reach him, he's already pulled himself up with this horribly grievous wound. And he just growls under his breath, "Is that one alive?"
My thoughts exactly. Faroth is already making his way to this impaled orc.
I saved a bit of him for you.
My thanks, Master Dwarf.
I knew I liked you. And he sort of hobbles heavily, one step just closer and closer and closer to that orc.
You're gonna die. I got you good.
Not before I crush your throat with my hand.
Cineric, we could do with answers. Perhaps this orc has some.
His hand is around his throat, the orc's throat, and he just goes, "Speak quickly."
Listen, orc. Before we send your miserable life into the void, tell us, Tell us where the rest of your scum are hiding.
They're everywhere.
I'm going to try and intimidate him, Lloyd. I'm going to try and mess up his day even more. That is a 17. I guess he has to oppose, I suppose.
Yes, let's see how he does there. Oh no. He says, I'd imagine you kind of twisting the spear in him. Okay. Malak, he rules here. In the old Dome of the Stars.
How many?
Too many.
Baroth looks to his companions to see if there are anything else they would like to know before he lets Cyneric do his whatever he wants. In that case, then Baroth steps aside.
No one going to ask anything else?
No, I'm stepping aside. He's all yours.
Right. I'm gonna. I don't know if the intimidation thing is still in effect as a group, but I'll ask him one thing. How do we get through to the other side?
You walk east.
Time to meet your maker.
Oh, let me live, I'll tell you.
He pauses for 1 second, but the threat, like the choke, is almost to the point of unconsciousness now.
There's an exile, Otha, the skull. He hates Malak. He'll show you the way. Give him some coin. He knows the secret path.
I'm staring at the orc, and would I at this point be able to use my starting virtue, piercing sight?
Yeah, I think so. What does it do?
Well, it lets me delve into their thoughts, obviously their emotional state, but essentially to see if
nice.
He's lying, that kind of thing. So he has to make a wisdom save against a DC 15.
Oh, luckily for him, that's his best save. I lie.
Yeah. Why not
he fails spectacularly.
Oh, okay. So I gain a lot of insight into what he's really thinking.
Yeah, he's telling you the truth. He wants to live, and it seems that there is an orc who's been exiled who is willing to show you the way through. You can just sense from him an enormous amount of fear of Malag, who seems to be the leader. Huge amount of fear. And yeah, just a desperation not to die.
The orc speaks the truth.
Cyneric smirks for a moment. There's no peace for you, foul kin, and just crushes his throat.
And then he's dead.
Cyneric, you need treatment.
But none of us here are an elf.
Don't need to be an elf to know medicine. Sit down.
As they're speaking, Nar retrieves his spear and spins around, looking to Syrian, pointing with a bloody end. You! And he quickly makes his way up to him and wraps him in a bear hug, lifted from the ground. Nice shooting, not bad for a human. And then puts him down and gives him a rough slap on the shoulder. And
how are your stab wounds, dwarf?
And
wounds. And he kind of spins around and notices the arrow. Oh, how did that get there?
Fine. I will deal with the Rohirrim first.
And Beregond says, I will look for more. But basically, he's embarrassed at how badly he fought. How he's sort of he's all pale. He's looking pale after his first real battle that he's had in his life. He's still trembling slightly, and he wants to move away from the rest of the party so they can't see his fear and everything like that. But also, he will be listening out for any other movement around.
Seneca kind of like relaxes up against the wall. He hasn't quite sat down yet, and this place isn't safe, Syrian. We can't do it out in the open.
Well, then, can we get you hobbling to a place of cover?
Why
His
hobble when
horse
I
shall
can-
bear him.
My thoughts exactly. And I sort of like whistle, and Ciara comes over, and then I probably, with help, can get on. I can make another test if you want.
No, I think of all the things that you were good at, it's getting on a horse. So I think it'll be okay.
Right. Yeah, and then I'm just sort of doing the whole Aragorn thing in the saddle where he's like almost dead. Back over the river, or do we push forward?
We move forward. We've gained ground. Faroth takes the reins of his horse, who he's retrieved from the other side. He's holding his side as well, but he sees that other people probably need the medicine a bit more than him at this immediate time. And he begins sort of leading the way forward, taking up that scout position again to make sure that there's a bit of a perimeter between him and the wounded.
Yeah, you guys can continue across the bridge unattacked. It seems that taking down Muzzlor means that no one knows that this has happened. You can cross to the side to the little spit of land. You can see rotted wooden boardwalks where once there was a harbour, but it's all fallen into ruin. And as soon as you cross, a head pops out from behind a building. Hey, all right. This head has no nose and no ears. Hideous creature, much bigger than the other orcs you had seen. He doesn't seem to be aggressive. He puts his hands up and he has no weapons. Oh, looks like you could use a guide. You got food?
Sorry, Lloyd, what was the name of that orc that we were told by? Yeah.
Osa the Skull.
The skull.
Yeah. What do you think?
Didn't want to be rude.
You got food? I'm hungry.
Farrell takes a look back to his companions and then looks at this orc dead in the eye and says, "You will give us what we need, and then you may have some food."
Yeah, all right. You want to get through the other side?
We do.
Yeah, lots of orcs around here. Won't be easy. How much food do you have?
That's a very good question, Lloyd. Ration-wise, do we take any takeaway from the place we stayed? We didn't say.
Well, we were given provisions when we left.
Yeah, you were given provisions.
Didn't get like a brown
give
bag.
us she gave us a tucker bag.
Yeah.
A
It's only
doggy bag.
been a day really since you left. So you're well provisioned.
Yes, and separate of that, Nar had purchased 4 rations, so he has that on top of whatever we were given.
Yeah. Yeah, so you probably have enough food for if you were rationing it carefully for 2 weeks. If you were eating comfortably for a week.
We have
So
enough
now we
food.
have enough for a week.
I sort of then gesture to the to our provisions without a word and wait for a moment before saying, "Your leader Malag, you have no love for this orc."
Oh, I hate him. He cut off my nose. He cut off my ears.
Well, the good news is you don't look like much of an orc anymore.
Shut it, dwarf.
You could always come over and try to... And then he'll stop as he lifts a hand.
Puts a hand on the dwarf's shoulder, sort of like that reassuring, it's all right, man. It's okay. You could just destroy this guy. It's fine.
You give me 2 days worth of food and a blade. I'll show you through.
You take no blade from us, orc. We will give you food as agreed.
Yeah, all right.
I looked to the others to see if everyone's okay with that. I don't want to be making these decisions on my own.
Well, if he really wants a blade so badly, he could take that little scrawny orcs. My shot.
You killed Musler, did you?
The little scrawny one.
Oh, I hate that fuck.
I am fucking loving this NPC. My character hates him with a passion, but I am loving this.
I was going to say, it's really difficult to talk to him, but he's amazing.
You can have his blade if you retrieve it.
Yeah.
It's back on the bridge.
Yeah, all right. Hang on. And he just begins running back towards the bridge.
I follow him just to watch what he's doing.
I shoot Syrian a questioning glance about the suggestion that's just been made.
Nara will,
Enemy is our friend. We must keep him happy. Not all of us could take him on, should he do anything.
Nara will turn in his saddle and look at the direction the orc went. Besides, maybe he'll do something stupid and give us a chance to kill him.
Following, sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Okay. Clutching my side, I'd stare at all of them and just, you're going to trust one of them?
Trust has nothing to do with it. He wants what we have, and he will be useful to us for now. And I say this sort of under my breath as I'm guessing he returns with that blade, so I sort of have kept that between us. Yeah.
He comes back with the blade that Musler had, and you can see that he's put like 2 smaller blades into his belt. Oh, I haven't had a blade for months. They took them off me when they kicked me out. It feels good. Well, I'm hungry, though. Just a little bit.
What comprises the traveling rations?
I would think like lots of cheese and bread, since they travel well. But at this stage, as only a day, you probably still have apples and meat and stuff like that. But as you go, the longer you go, the more it's like hard bread and cheese.
I'll kind of grumble in my breath as I reach into my pack, and I'll break off a half a thing of cheese and an apple and toss them towards him, like at his feet, not to where he can catch it.
Picks up the cheese. Oh, what's this? Ugh. Smells terrible. You got any meat?
Don't you eat your own kind, orc?
Yeah, but I'm hungry. I haven't eaten any for a while.
If you were really hungry, you'd eat that cheese.
What is it?
Blade for free. It's like milk, but solid.
Smells terrible.
Still, your stomach will be satisfied.
It's not poison.
No. And if
If we wanted to kill you, we would have done
I
so.
take a bit of cheese and eat it myself.
That's not bad. All right. I'll show you secret ways in the dark, tunnels over roofs. I can show you them horses. They're not going to be helpful.
That might be a problem, I'd say, looking at Cynaric.
You can leave them with me. I'll look out for them.
The fuck you will. You find us a path that this can travel through. Or it's no path at all.
It's making it a lot harder than it needs to be. These things can't climb, can they?
I can make your life a lot harder than it needs to be. That wasn't part of the deal.
Yeah, okay. Follow me. And he begins moving across another small wooden bridge into the eastern part of the city. And I would like everyone to make a stealth roll, please.
Okay.
Honest to goodness, that is the second natural 20.
Excellent. That's what we need. I'm going to say if half of you succeed, then you all succeed.
I was just going to say, me too, man. I've got it right here.
Yes.
Stealth, huh? That's got to be good.
Sneaky bastards.
I am a ghost. I am a wraith.
I apparently can stealth a horse through a city.
Caius with the 20 as well. Okay, yeah, so that is excellent news. What about you, Syrian?
Sponges on the hooves.
17.
Excellent. All right,
Jesus
now
Christ. 3 nat
So-
20s for that.
Surprisingly enough, for a dwarf
No, mine wasn't a natural.
Oh, right, okay.
and heavy plate, I managed to get a 4.
Okay, that's surprising. But between a lot of you, you're able to kind of shore up the gaps in your stealth skills, and with the 2 of you being practically invisible, you're able to follow the orc. He moves really quickly. He doesn't stop if you guys slow down. He has a route in mind, and he knows that it's vital. You're moving for maybe 20 minutes when he stops, and he stops moving entirely. And he says, "Wait, whoosh." And you all stop, and a minute goes by, and then another minute, and then out of nowhere, thunk, 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 thunk. A bunch of orcs like walk past, and they're like "Rah, rah, rah, rah," shouting at each other and laughing as they move past. And you're like in this little tiny alleyway. If they just turned around to look in your direction, you would have been seen. But they pass by. He says, "All right, let's go." He leads you through different buildings, and he leads you all around. Eventually, he leads you like through temples. He leads you through this beautiful sort of church that has a huge statue, or 3 statues rather, of Elendil, Isildur, and Anor.
I tried to lift a flagstone as we're going through there, but I don't manage to lift it. But I'm sure that there's a buried treasure in here I've come across. But you know,
yeah, the three great kings, Elendil and his sons, visible standing back to back in this place. But you can see that there's like blood smeared on the statues. And that all of their swords are gone. They obviously once had actual swords in their hands, but they're all gone. The hands are broken. And yeah, you move through. Eventually, he says, "All right, this is going to be the trickiest. We're going to have to walk right by a gang at work. Be very fucking quiet." And so he leads you through this, like a bridge between buildings. It's like up above on a second or third story. And as you're moving across, you can see that down below, there's a couple of orcs, and there's about 10 or so people, humans, at work. They're picking up like huge rocks and like carrying them and like stacking them, building a sort of barrier here. And you can see the humans are all naked, and they're carrying these rocks. And this woman is like carrying this rock, and it's way too heavy for her. And she drops it, and it smashes or cracks as she drops it. And one of the orcs gets up, and walks over and gets a whip. Whoosh! And she lets out a cry of pain. Whoosh! And again and again. This orc has like a shock of white hair, and he's wearing clean armor, which is very unusual. It doesn't have that sort of hideous, sort of spiky, thrown together look of an orc's armor. It looks like it was made specifically for him. And he goes over and picks her up by the throat and lifts her up. He says, "You're not much use, are you?" And she's like, "Maybe we can get a good price off the gorger for you." And then he like flings her to the side, and she like falls down onto the ground. And the rest of the humans just like sit there with their eyes on the ground, unwilling to interfere. And once they go back to work and there's a bit more noise, Osha will lead you further on.
I'm guessing too many were guarding them there, Lloyd.
It looks like there's this guy who definitely looks like he means business, and then there's 4 other orcs.
A risk perhaps we shouldn't take.
Just to be fair to the rest of the party, before I take any action, I'll just say it's pretty obvious that Nar's intent is to go confront this guy. So, you know, it'll be obvious. So if anybody wants to attempt to dissuade him or whatever, this would be the time.
I think I would. I think I'd see Nar sort of take a step forward, and I go, "No, Nar. They suffer, yes, but we work to a greater goal. If we are discovered here and we are killed, then many more could die. We need to stay true to what we promised Denethor, like it or not."
You hear this. See, back into formation.
You cut out there, Dennis. Didn't catch that.
Oh, sorry. Basically, when he says that, you'll hear the sound of Nar's knuckles cracking and his teeth grinding, but he nods and steps back in formation as he says, "I will see him again."
Yeah.
Cedric makes a motion to try and sit taller, just as the dwarf perhaps is going to engage them, but then he doubles over in pain. That's my contribution.
Are there? What's the ground like around here? Is it all stone?
You're on a bridge above, so on maybe the second story, a bridge that spans between 2 buildings. What you can see down below, like it's a covered bridge. You know, there's like a roof and walls and everything. There's windows. You can see they're below you. Yeah, and the city is a lot of white stone, a lot of marble, in the classical sort of Gondorian style. And they are down below, and they're taking big blocks and they're moving them from a ruin to build an actual wall. Is what you can see.
When they take away the blocks, is there sort of dirt revealed underneath the blocks, or is there any dirt around? Earth?
Yes, underneath the stones and stuff there would be.
Okay, then I just hang back slightly, and when the rest of the party have gone past me and are following the orc, I'll just take one of my daggers and drop it so it lands in the dirt next to the woman who was threatened.
Excellent.
And then I'll continue.
All right, nice. You can have inspiration. That's great. So as you keep moving, you can see the woman who's like trying to catch her breath. She's like looking. She sees this dagger. And the orc is like turned around now. He's talking to the rest of them like, "Yeah, I think we could sell her to the gorger. We might get a good price." And you can see her look at the dagger, and she picks it up, and then you can see 2 of the other humans just like look at her and shake their heads. And looking at them now, you can see that one of them has a wooden carving of a lion, like held tightly in his fist, and he's like shaking his head. He's like, "No, don't do it." But she like
I unshoulder my bow whilst I'm watching this happen?
She holds the dagger and she stands up and she says, "Oi, whip man." He turns around and he says, "Yeah," and then she cuts her own throat.
I let out a heave of sorrow and back off as quietly as I can. But I think that's shocked me. Does that? I don't know. Do I make a? That's a darkness, I think, or something
maybe
like
make
that.
a wisdom save, yeah, from maybe a shadow.
Yep.
For seeing such a horrible thing.
Hopefully,
I fail. So that's another point of shadow, I think.
Yeah.
Is it just one, or I don't know?
One. Yeah, I'll just give it one.
Jesus. That's grim.
Are we
But
far
amazing.
past to see what happens?
Yeah, I think you. I wonder. You could probably still look out a window or something if you were determined. If you wanted to keep watching.
Yeah, I think given his previous inclination that he would, if he came to a window, like he would stop to look out. And he would see this transpire.
Yeah, so anyone who thinks... Sorry, Dennis, go ahead.
I was going to say, are there any of the other ones that kind of hang back, or did they all continue to move on?
Of the party, I'm not sure. Anyone who thinks they might have seen that will need to make a shadow check to see for the sheer horror of what you've seen.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think, considering my injuries, I was probably trotting on, so I don't think I was looking.
Thankfully.
So was it a wisdom save for
It's a wisdom save, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a DC 15.
I did get 17.
15.
Okay,
on
nice.
the dot.
You hardened bastards. I think once again,
yeah, I was going to say, yeah, that was lucky.
Syrian seems to be able to look at the rational situation, which definitely in this it's helpful. Or maybe the short time you spent here has already hardened you against the horrors of the shadow.
Maybe. He doesn't really explain it though in his mind. It's almost like he's kind of had that strange blankness in his head, almost like any lack of emotion. But he is concerned about the Cineric's wounds now.
Yeah.
So when he sees the woman slit her own throat, he then sort of backs off.
Yeah.
Back towards Cineric.
Yeah, the orc is like watching you guys standing there, like, come on, we have to move.
Nar will almost drop to a knee, even though he's able to resist the shadow at the weight of what they saw, and he will reach out and firmly grab onto the arm of Faruth to right himself. And his dark features hidden beneath his helm as he takes a deep breath and finds his center and straightens and then starts moving forward after the orc.
I think Faroth, before he moves on, he too felt the weight of that. He didn't obviously fail the shadow save, but a very bitter taste in his mouth, and he glares at that orc from across that distance and memorizes every outline of his horrendous Yuruk face.
Yeah, shocking white hair and clean armor. Those are the things he'll take away. Osha is very keen for you guys to keep moving. He seems afraid to be in this area with this orc. And if you guys don't tarry too long, he will lead you further through the city. And for about another hour, it takes, you're basically, you're trying to move straight, but you're not moving in a straight line. You're going through alleyways and winding back and forth to make sure you're not crossing any sort of orc patrols. You're always being very careful. That happens a few times where you kind of cross a point where he stops you, and then orcs move past, and then you move again. But eventually, he does effectively lead you out. Another 2 or 3 hours, even you walk through until eventually you come to the other side, to the gate of Tulkas Victor. Now horribly ruined, barely a gate anymore, more a hole in the wall. But he leads you there. And he says, all right, the food. You said you give me food. I'm hungry.
Nar will reach for that pack of rations that now has half a cheese and bread, and then all the meat that would normally come with it, and then one more, and then toss it to him.
Oh yes. Lovely. Well, if you ever need to get back the other way, let me know.
While we're stopped here, I'll take the moment to at least temporarily treat some of Cineric's wounds.
Yep.
So I have something called Hands of a Healer, which I think I will do at this moment. So I can expend 1 healing die per action, which grants Cineric with hit points equal to 1d8 plus his wisdom modifier.
There is also, you can cure conditions with that. I'm not sure if you've leveled to that point or not, but I wondered if the conditions would help my recovery.
Types of conditions, yes. I would say that you can either, in this case, remove the condition, which is obviously the better thing to do, or to get the hit points.
Yeah,
I think like we need to, because critical hits are going to be common and injuries like that are going to be common. We need to like figure out a system here. So I think with your Hands of Healing, you can, instead of doing the hit points healing, you can heal the condition.
Yeah.
Sound fair?
I'll do that on this occasion.
I just want to say real quick before the orcs leaves, Nar will go up to him, and I don't know what kind of clothes he's wearing. He'll grab kind of a fistful of it at his chest and pull him close as he holds out his other hand and says, "When we come back through, I will have need of you." And he'll drop a handful of gold coins in his hand.
His like face lights up, and you can almost hear the words "dragon sickness" being shouted from his eyeballs. Oh, gold! What's this for?
I will have need of you on our return. His thoughts turning to that orc and finding a way to him.
Yeah, all right. I'll stay around here, keep an eye for you.
Cineric, while being treated, is glaring at the orc. He can't bring himself to try and kill it in his current state. And he might, well, I don't know if he'd admit to himself that he did actually do what he intended, and we got through stealthily. But he's begrudgingly being healed in the presence of such a foul thing.
Faroth looks to Syrian and sort of looks down, and he can see that blood has begun to pool beneath his leather armor and his tunic, and while not as grievous as Cineric, it still hurts. He got a few nasty jabs in, so he says, "Cineric, if you could turn those healing hands to me, or have you only a certain amount of supply?"
Let us rest once we find a safe place to do so.
Aye.
Excellent. So you're able to kind of reach into the wound and pull the black ichor from the arrow out, and using your healing hands are able to stop the agony to some extent that Cineric was feeling, and successful, though maybe it doesn't feel as triumphant as it should. Nonetheless, you are now in Athelion, and you guys can move your way outside of the city towards the woods itself, where you can eventually make camp and get some well-needed rest. But I think that's where we'll leave it for today.
Huzzah. Yes, applause.
Woo.
I hope that was
Lloyd,
enjoyable.
that was stunning. That was excellent. I love that. You've really nailed Middle Earth there for me, man. That orc, the orcs, man, are amazing.
Oh, sure.
You do them so well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
I would thank Syrian for your aid there. Somewhat surprised at what you managed to do, probably pulling that arrow from very deep in his gut.
Yeah, while that's going on, you anybody watching will see Nar kind of turning to his left and his right for a few seconds, trying to reach that arrow that's sticking out of his back, not quite able to reach it, kind of like a dog chasing its tail.
All right.
Amazing.
Well, let's. I'll just do it quickly because I'll wrap it up quickly. So we had Caius of Caius of Glantry. We had Dan Barnes, who played Cynric. We had Rob from Performance Check. We had Jay from the Rogue DM. And we had Dennis from Wicked's End. Thank you all for playing, and thank you for watching. If you like it, then like it. Cheers.